welcome to our very first collective exclusive video for 2023. I haven't done one of these in quite a while, and in this format it's actually brand new. So I did a collective exclusive video way back in September where I share a little bit of my behind the scenes of my journey to Unravel. And after that, I did a little survey with all of you to understand a little bit better whether you would like to have more blog content format or more video content format. And video won, not by much. I think it was like 55 or 60 to 40. But I haven't really gotten around to doing any more collective exclusive video yet. Part of that is honestly just the reality of running a small business and a family, because it's sick season, people. And our little one, who's now almost 3.5, has brought home almost every sort of daycare cold imaginable. But that's what it is, and we're just rolling with it. It's just been a really, really intense few months. But I'm really glad that I'm here, and really glad that you are also here, because you, the collective, are something that makes me extraordinarily happy, and I want to do everything that I can to serve you a lot better in the next year than I did in the previous few months. If you have anything that you would like to see from us in the collective, anything that you want me to talk about in video form or blog form, any products, any sort of changes, any recommendations, any feedback, highly appreciate it. Just comment down below, either below the video or below this blog post. And I gladly take that on. Now, today I thought I would pop on here and talk a little bit about something really exciting that happened this week. As I'm recording this, it's January 12th. And a couple days ago on Tuesday, I got up super early and I got to see the printing of our upcoming issue 9, and it was absolutely super duper excellent, fantastic. I was so happy that the printer invited me, and I was so glad that I went, because it was a really, really cool experience. And I just want to talk a little bit about the sort of the day or the experience with you. Show you a few things that I brought back from the printer, and also talk a little bit about like the changes that sort of made that possible. Let me start with the last one actually first. You might have heard about this because I've shared about it on like in various places, in our newsletter and on social media. We moved to a different printer. So far our magazine has always been printed by Königsdruck Berlin, which is a wonderful printer based here in Berlin that is specialized on sustainable print products. But for a number of reasons, I wasn't super happy there anymore. And I started looking for alternatives sort of in the middle of last year. The majority of my unhappiness wasn't even with the print product, but it was more about that I felt I wanted a little bit more support in changes that I wanted to bring to the magazine to make the magazine better, and also a little bit more financially stable, essentially. As you might know, that paper prices, no matter whether it's print paper or boxes, cartons, things like that, they've gone through the roof over the last few years. And one of the reasons that I was looking at a new printer was that I also was looking at new paper, and I was looking for someone with really good and solid recommendations and expertise in finding that paper and sort of figuring out what would work best for us, for the type of product that I wanted, for the photos that we have. And I didn't honestly find that support with our old printer. They were lovely. They were lovely folks. I was just looking for something a little bit different. Enter Königsdruck Berlin, which is our new printer, who I really like. I mean, I have seen the print of issue 9 now, and it looked good. And so I'm hoping that in actual magazine format, it will look even better. So, I am gushing about the printer because like everything so far has been good, but really, I don't really know what the proper English expression for that is. In German, we would say something like, the final proof, the final test will then come when I actually hold the final product in my hands. But our new printer is also Berlin-based, which was really important to me. I wanted to keep the production as local as possible because, I mean, we are already creating quite a bit of CO2 transport footprint by sending our magazine all over into the world and by actually having a paper magazine. So I wanted to keep, the production of it as local as possible. I also just really like supporting our local economy because I find it important that, especially smaller and medium-sized businesses, which Königsdruck very much belongs to, they are the backbone, I think, not just, of our economy, mostly, but also of, community and the spirit that people, get when they go to work. And so I find that important. I want to work with good companies, essentially. And my impression from Königsdruck so far is that it definitely is one. They have an interesting history. They were acquired shortly before the pandemic by a second company that focused on printing labels, sticker labels. And their founder is, I think, in his 40s, and he acquired Königsdruck, this really established printing company that focused on paper printing. Brochures, leaflets, magazines, beautiful hardcover books. And so it's a very interesting company because there are these two, on the surface, seemingly related, but then when you dig a little bit deeper, very different businesses. Both have to do with printing, but one is sticker printing and the other one is paper printing. And it is really unique to have both under the same roof. They've since acquired a third company that's also, I think, as far as I understand, a little bit more in the sticker-related space, but have heavily invested in paper printing. So the machine that our magazine gets printed on is brand new. And earlier last year, I got to visit them when we were in, when I was looking for a new printer, and we were not really in negotiations, but just in me getting to know different options. And I was really fascinated because the team is really diverse in terms of age. There were a lot of really young people, which makes me very happy because print can often be seen as a dying art, but it very clearly isn't. And they get complemented by this incredible team of seasoned employees who've been working in the print industry for decades, and they really know their shit. Like, they really know their shit. So they were obviously quite curious as to why, I was looking for a change, and I was very open about it. It was like, look, like, this is the magazine. So I brought issue 8 to them, and it was like, this is the magazine. I need to find a way to be more predictable as far as paper costs and printing costs go. I am also a little bit over the paper that we're using because I think that it doesn't show the details and the crispness and the light that we show in our photos as well as it could. And I also need to keep up a little bit with the market. Let's be completely honest. Like, I took a trip to my local yarn shop at some point after issue 8 had released, and I looked at the magazines on display. They have all of the ones that in the knitting market right next to one another. And I was like, yeah, I mean, ours looks nice, but when we started, ours was standing out And everyone else has, kept up, continued, went into different directions. And I was looking at that, and I mean, it's kind of hard for me to differentiate, is this because I've been working on the same product for quite a few years now, and, if you work on something for that long, maybe you sometimes just get a little bit over it, or whether it really was that impression of like, we could do a bit better here. So I brought all of these things to the table, and then I said, look, but I don't know anything about paper. I don't know anything about printing. I know what I like. I know what I want it to look like. I know what I want it to feel like. And I know for sure that I want to stay with 100% recycled paper. But as far as which paper exactly that goes and what the best thing for it in print is, I have no idea. And they were like, yeah, we know. That's our job. And I was like, yes, thank you. And that meeting was fascinating because they showed me a lot of different paper samples and a lot of different products that they have printed and talked about with so much love and detail, what different papers can bring to a magazine. And that transpired also earlier this week when I was there because Frau Hartwig, the woman who was there and accompanied me to the printing, she was also like, look, she just pointed out things that the paper made possible that I hadn't even noticed. Like, she's like, look at the texture of that cover detail. That's because of the paper. And I was like, yes. So all in all, I got really good recommendations as far as paper goes. And so we haven't only changed the printer, but also the paper. It's still 100% recycled paper. Let me just take a quick sip of coffee. Which was really important to me. But where before we were working with an uncoated paper, so a pretty open structure, is kind of similar as far as I understand it to worsted was this woolen spun, where with an uncoated paper, it's not necessarily that there's a coating on it, but that the paper fibers are more jumbled, and that means that the structure of the paper is more open, and so the ink really sinks into the paper. Now, if you combine that with a 100% recycled paper, which is usually a lot yellower and or grayer than an unrecycled paper, fresh paper as they call it, you very easily lose crispness in the photos, and you also very easily lose nuance as far as color and texture goes. Basically, the ink sinks into the paper and you lose the light that Melinda, our photographer, so beautifully captures. And they suggested that we try and go with a coated paper that, similar to worsted spun yarns, where the fibers are then brushed into one direction, that's the same thing here. And that creates a lot smoother surface of the paper. And so the smoother surface really helps bring out the details that maybe otherwise would have gotten lost. And I was like, yeah, brilliant, let's try it. And they showed me a few different paper samples, printed and unprinted. And what was also really important to me was that it actually just felt really nice. And we really quickly agreed on one particular paper that I thought was really, really good. And would work really well for what we do, which is showcase knitwear, beautiful knitwear, photographed by someone who is excellent at capturing all of the details and making everything look really, really light and airy. And I wanted that feeling to have in the paper as well. And so, yeah, I then waited for a few more days until I got a printed sample of the body paper. They didn't have that there. And then we very quickly made the decision to go with that paper. So yeah, I'm very excited. New paper, new printer. That was also the main reason why I went to the printing start. They invited me and I thought it was so cool that they did, because I love big machines. I really do. I find it fascinating. And they were like, it's just really, I think it just such a fascinating industry, print. And it was absolutely fantastic. Ooh, one thing that I forgot to mention when we were talking about, the recommendations that they made is also that they talked to me about their sort of the printing machine that our magazine would be printed on, which is a Heidelberger Druck LED printing machine, and it's super cool. What it has is it has basically an oven at the end, or like a hair dryer, no, more like an oven. So I'll insert a little video of the actual printing process in a little while here in the video. And you'll see that at the end of the machine, there's this gigantic box. And in that box are LED lights that immediately dry the ink on the paper. So in addition to the paper being smoother and the ink not being able to sink into it as much, the ink also gets dried immediately, so it just stays on top of the paper, which is brilliant. Like, it just makes it glow. Like, it glows. So yeah. So that's the backstory of Tuesday. So Tuesday morning, I got up at 5:30, had my cup of coffee and my shower, and then took 2 trains to Königsdruck. It was dark outside, like everyone in the trains was still sleepy and stuff, and I was like, yeah, let's go, let's do it. And yeah, then I went into the printing room, which is a giant hall, right? Like, they have lots of giant spaces there. And was met there by Mrs. Hartwig, our lovely contact, and the printer who was on duty on that day. And she was like, yeah, he still needs a little bit of time to, set things up and stuff. Let's go have a coffee. I had brought them the print proofs that we had made. So I shared about this in one of the last podcast episodes, but I wanted to show you as well. So when we go into layouting, one of the core decisions that we have to make is how to edit the photos. Melinda, our photographer, is also in charge of editing the photos. And one of the challenges with just using recycled paper, but also specifically our previous paper, was always that we had to edit the photos a lot, because if we didn't, they would just be completely gray. So if we wanted them to look on paper the way that they actually looked when we shot them, we had to make them a lot lighter, a lot brighter, a lot more contrast. And this time, because it's a new paper, it's a new printer, we were like, oh, okay, so we probably have to adjust that as well. And the way that we do it is so that after we've done the photo shoot, Melinda selects a handful of photos, edits them the way that she thinks will look good on the paper, and then we send them to the printer to get what is called a proof back, which is a print of these photos on paper that is not the original paper, but they adjust the printing, like how saturated they print and things like that, so that it emulates the paper that will then be the original paper. So this is how a print proof like that looks like. It's an A3 paper that is, shinier than the one that we have. But it showed us that we were definitely in the right direction, or basically on point with the photo edits. And what I also found really interesting was how they then use this proof and the subsequent one. So we also did one cover reveal. We also did one for the full color body pages that you know from the magazine. And what I found really interesting was how they used these proofs in the printing. Because when we said hello to the printer and I introduced myself and said like, look, I brought the proofs. I'm not sure if you need them. He was like, yeah, give them to me, because then I can check whether the color when we print actually comes out as on the proof. And that's what they did. So they first printed the cover, and after the first couple of trial runs of printing the cover, because you want to make sure that the machine has had like a few papers through it, to get rid of any residual whatever dust and things. I mean, it's obviously like it's meticulously clean. Like, I kid you not, like it's much cleaner than in my apartment. So that says more about the state of my apartment than you probably want to know. But they took those, he took a sheet of the paper of the cover before he actually started printing and put it next to this and then checked, are the colors the same? So that was really fascinating. And it also reassured me that like this makes a lot of sense, because they're using that then in the print process. Like, it's not just for us, it's also for them, and makes their work easier. So I had a cup of coffee, and then he called us back and he was like, yep, are we ready? I was like, sure. And it was absolutely fascinating. First of all, the speed of the printing press was absolutely incredible. So we're printing 1,000 copies, which was, so the covers are printed on like big, what is that then? DIN A0, I think, spreads of paper. And they, or DIN A2, I don't know, but like big ones. So the stack of cover papers that they had to print was about this high. And it took them the time that it took us to walk from one end of the machine to the other end of the machine, 15 meters and back, to print through all 1,000 copies of that. It's just like, goes super, super fast. So the paper gets sucked into the printer on like an air film. I mean, it's thin paper, like it needs to be really, really meticulous. And then it goes through those printing towers where every single color gets printed on top of one another. And at the end of that, it goes through the LED oven, and then it comes out. It's super, super fascinating. He gave me a copy of the cover and a copy of one of the body pages. I haven't actually unwrapped them. But so if you don't want to see the cover, close your eyes for a few seconds. I'm guessing you want to see it, right? And oh my god, like I seriously can't wait for you to hold this in your hands, because it's absolutely stunning. So we're using the same paper, just a different thickness for the cover and the body. And can you just see how it glows? How the yellow glows? Oh, it's so good. It's seriously, like, it's so good. And I am so happy with it. Yeah, yes, most definitely the right choice with that paper. So after the cover was done, we went and had another chat, because he had to recalibrate the machine, like clean everything and then recalibrate it. And then I also got to approve the body paper, which is this. And I think it looks absolutely great. Super, super nice. So yeah, that was my printing adventure. Oops. Ooh. Trying not to ruin everything here. So that was my printing adventure. And now the printed paper is with the bookbinder. They're going to cut everything and then bind it all together. And then it's going back to Königsdruck to put in the little code labels that you know from the first page, where you can get your digital version and your Revelry download. And then it gets packaged up by them and will be delivered to us by next week. Way. Awesome, right? So yeah, so that was the little overview of, you know, the printing process of issue 9. A little outlook, last but not least, for you for what to expect as collective members, levels, fold, skein, and sweater quantity for issue 9. So on February 15th, we are going to open up February 15th, sorry. I'm just like completely all over the place right now. February 15th, we're going to open the doors to the Yarn Cave early for you, so you get early access. They stay open for a week, and during that week, you can purchase the new yarns that we're launching for issue 9. So I'll put together kits. You can purchase the kits. You can purchase, you know, anything else that you like. And during that time, it's only open for you and for the magazine subscribers. And then we're going to ship everything out so that, you know, if you want to cast on together something with us on March 15th, the official release date of issue 8, you can. Issue 8. Not issue 8. Issue 9. So yeah, that's that. A little outlook and a little throwback to the printing. I hope you liked this video. If you did, do let me know in the comments below